everyone, welcome back to the Light Renegades. My name is Starr. Hello for everyone that is in real time, and welcome to those that might be new to the channel. You know, we are out here speaking about the weird, the wonderful, and everything else in between. And yeah, I have lots to share today. I wanted to do a quick catch up on everything that has happened since the first Getting to Know the Darkness video that I created. And if you haven't gone back and watched that video, I would highly suggest it, because probably a lot of the things that I've got to share today will not make any sense unless you've watched that first video. But to those that are up to date already, yeah, I've been okay. There has been a lot of energy that I've been having to alchemize within my own physical vessel, and my teams of light, you know, my galactic teams and otherwise, have confirmed to me that I'm a soul that processes things, that alchemize things through my own physical vessel. And you know, it's been real uncomfortable for me. I was holding a lot of energy, a lot of dark energy, a lot of real, yeah, feel like stagnant, static energy, and I've been feeling such extreme emotions that I've been having to try and temper, I've been having to try and manage, and I just felt physically pregnant. My tummy was so swollen. I looked about 8 months pregnant. It's been a real wild time over here. Physically, the ascension symptoms have been, you know, really strong, and I know some of you out here have emailed and, you know, said that you were experiencing the same thing. So please know that you are never alone. Please know that we are always here to support you. So if you do feel called to be working with any of the Light Renegades one-on-one, please do reach out to us, and you know, we can help you. We can help make this ascension process make sense to you, is what I want to share. But since the last video, you know, before, when I was first sat in a lot of this dark energy, I realized I was standing still and I was speaking light language to myself, and I often do that. I often feel, you know, like there's an energy that's wanting to come through, and it's a lot of the time it's just healing for myself. So I'll find myself singing, I'll find myself speaking light language, but I was speaking light language to my stomach. And I thought, what is this energy? And often I was switching to almost like a shamanic tone, a shamanic voice when doing this. And I felt like, why am I doing that? And my teams of like, you know, didn't come through for me, didn't have an answer for me. And then lo and behold, the coming days, I was just swelling and swelling and swelling with this dark energy. And you know, now that I've managed to shift this energy, they said, you know, we couldn't tell you at the time because you would have been trying to reject it, but this is something that you contracted into yourself this lifetime to be processing. So I was harboring a lot of dark energy, a lot of darkness that, you know, I didn't think existed up until, you know, very, very recently. And I've done a lot of shadow work in my time, but we are getting to the point where this darkness is, you know, overlapping into our timelines. And this is something that Lucifer confirms in a message that I will share for you a little bit later. But I was harboring this dark energy, and I thought, when is this going to shift? And, you know, the days were just rolling by, and I thought, gosh, I cannot physically take on any more energy. What is happening? And, you know, I was late for my own personal cycle as well, my menstrual cycle, and I thought, okay, something's going to happen where I'm going to have to make an offering to the earth. And trigger warning here, it's going to get a little bit gross, but I think there's a method to this as well. So yeah, I was late to be coming onto my cycle, and I felt called to make an offering to the ground once I had started to come onto my cycle. And you know, I was about a week late, and I thought, this is aligning for something. This is aligning for, you know, something that is happening either astrologically or, you know, within the realms that we can't quite touch, we can't quite see, or within this darkness that is a whole new fabric that we're having to get to know everyone. And, you know, it happened on the 23rd. I was able to make an offering to the ground, which was, yeah, a day after the 22nd. And we did have a healing circle, and thank you to those that joined. It was, yeah, it was a really powerful one. And yeah, I'll speak a little bit more about that a little bit later as well. But I made an offering to the ground, and, you know, when I was digging this hole to be pouring my, you know, own menstrual blood, and I thought, this hole is not big enough, and something told me to just stick with it. So when I was trying to cover, you know, my offering to the ground, I was really having to get my hands in everything. And coincidentally enough, it was the same spot that I burnt a lot of my, you know, things that I wanted to get rid of, you know, with the last moon that we had, and, you know, all of these equinox energies that I was thinking about. I burnt a lot of things in that ground, and in that ground, it was a piece that I'd written on, and I said, I'm releasing the wounds of, releasing the pain, I think it was especially said, I'm releasing the pain of the Scarlet Woman. And I wasn't in full capacity of what this meant at the time. I've been hearing things about the Scarlet Woman with regards to Doja Cat, who is I don't know, I guess a pop artist, a hip hop artist. You know, she is a current person trending in the realms of music right now, and definitely pushing this dark agenda. And, you know, I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions about this, but the things that I'm being told on my side from my teams of light is that, you know, for her, she is a part of this system. She's a part of everything that is being woven, you know, to be trying to align us with these darker energies. So I was making an offering to the ground and releasing the wounds of the Scarlet Woman. And, you know, I put my Scarlet, you know, entries into that ground, and it was, I was packing it in. I was having to get real deep, my hands were in everything. I thought, this is the most grotesque thing that I have ever done in my life. And I just thought there was something in this, and I was having like flashbacks and remembrance of me being in these realms, and this being like where I thrive, this being where I found myself. And I thought, gosh, I've lived so many lifetimes, and a lot of them were real dark, and they are still playing out now. This is something that I've been made more aware of over the past few days, is that everything that has passed is completely parallel, and it's still here. So I was having these flashbacks in that moment, and I took some time, and I thought, okay, hopefully my physical vessel is going to start feeling less and less full, and I'm hopefully not going to feel 9 months pregnant anymore, and I can just let this go. But throughout this time behind the scenes, I've been doing a lot of research into the darker practices, into, the Book of Enoch. I've been looking into Alister Crowley, and then I realized this is what was happening. This darker energy of the Scarlet Woman actually comes from Alister Crowley's teachings, and I was really surprised by this, and also not shocked at the same time. And I thought, okay, all my research in the different areas are all starting to align up, and we had these messages come through from Jeffrey Epstein about the sacrifices that were being made by these celebrities in these spaces for their own personal gain, for their own manifestations of the world that we just don't want to be living in anymore. And I thought, okay, I'm sort of pivoting back into aspects that I've already been looking at, but also a whole new layer of expanse. And I've not been with Galactic Team so much, I've been a lot with Spirit, and my spaces and places have aligned with that too. Everyone that's been coming in for work with me, they've been fighting this darkness. A lot of people have come forward and felt like, there was something in my house, there was something around me that, I just feel like shouldn't be there. And I thought, okay, this is not just me. I'm really having to check my reality, check my spaces, but it's aligning. There's other people stepping forward and, explaining that they are going through the same things, they are feeling the same things. And I thought, okay, I'm really being guided by my teams of light onto something that is very, very, very beneficial to this collective. So Alister Crowley, it's been something that I've been very curious about for a real long time, and I think I felt quite a strong reaction to seeing his image. I never wanted to delve in, and I was around people that were reading his books a very long time ago, and I never did. And now looking back at my journey, I think there was a massive reason for that. But I listened to a podcast, and they went in very, very in-depth into Alister Crowley's life, and to my surprise, I found a lot of alignments with my own life and Alister Crowley's life. And he was just looking for magic. He was just looking for magic. He was just looking to speak to the gods, as he would call it, and he was just wanting to experience a different side of life that he knew to be true in his heart. And I found a little bit of his essence to be quite endearing, and he's done a lot of things, or he did a lot of things in his life, and a lot of things that were very chaotic, very dark, but also he was just looking to be, I think, accepted somewhere, and accepted in spaces that he knew almost, how do I want to word it? He was looking to be accepted into spaces that he knew existed, but he couldn't see. And, that's where we find ourselves on this ascension journey. This is this feeling in our heart that we are supposed to be aligning with something else. And we start asking these questions, and then things start to come in. And, things did start to come in for Alister Crowley. And I've been listening to the Book of the Law of his. And, I realized that this is a manifesto that a lot of these celebrities connected to, these darker societies, these, Illuminatis, the Masonic order, have been focusing on, or at least a fractal of them I've been guided to look at. And I listened to the Book of the Law, and I was absolutely floored. I could not believe what I was listening to. And I thought, I cannot believe that people are out here reading this and, creating their own fabric of reality surrounded by such darkness from these words. And Alister Crowley points out himself that, he doesn't know where this channeled information specifically came from. And I'm starting to see a loophole within his whole practice, within everything that he has done. He didn't know exactly where his information was coming from, nor did he have the capacity to be pulling in this information for himself. He engaged in other acts with other people to bring information through. And a lot of these people were, novices to these different realms, to these different aspects of life. And no one was fully, within their capacities to be knowing exactly what comes in and Granted, none of us can. I cannot sit here and tell you I know exactly 110% where all my information comes from. But there are other people in my life that mirror the same thing, that are telling me, you know, that they have experienced the exact same thing, or, you know, they have a message for me and it aligns with my journey. And this is how I keep my reality in check. You know, I speak out to other people. I make sure that I'm looking after my mental health. I make sure that my physical body, you know, is taken care of. I eat well, I drink well, and you know, I make sure that I stay hydrated, and I make sure that I am doing everything to align myself with the light is what I want to share. So please make sure if you're delving into any of these things, you know, even just reading works that are of a darker nature, make sure that you are sending out love, sending out light, and protecting yourself in that space. But yeah, Alister Crowley's teachings, I was just floored at what I felt was a lack of substance in the Book of the Law, and you know, just pretty outrageous things to be asking anyone to do. And I just thought there is something that has gone truly awry in these spaces. And this idea of the Scarlet Woman was, you know, there's a whole deep story within that. So I think I'm going to set aside a time to create a video with all the, you know, the correct information of exactly what comes from where. But if you want to be looking into that yourself, then you're more than welcome in that meantime. But I'm having to grab from all different spaces right now. And this idea of the Scarlet Woman is being pushed through this celebrity at this time, and I thought I'm having to release this energy to be releasing that in some space somewhere. So I was having to harbor all of this dark energy that's being conjured up by these people, alchemize it in my own body, and then be sending that light and that love out, you know, to places and spaces. And I've been back on my darker, you know, work behind the scenes, that I go into spaces with my teams of light, and you know, it's almost like, well, I guess it would be considered to be almost like a simulation that happens, and I will be guided into spaces where I have to, you know, fight beings, where I have to kill myself a lot, which is, yeah, it's a very strange space to be in. And you know, it's just unfathomable where we find ourselves right now. So there is a darker layer of fabric that is happening in parallel to ours, and this is something that Lucifer has confirmed to me this past weekend. He came in with a little message, and his message was, there is a fabric of existence where the darkness has been called into such a degree that there will be no way of stopping this overspill into your world. Call it a fall from grace if you will. This is where we have all aligned, galactic, angelic. We have joined forces to make sure that these timelines do not cross over any longer. For some, you are feeling this weight. You choose to take this weight. And I put Claude, and I found that very interesting, but it was supposed to be, you chose to be here, and right now, to step forward into this dense fabric and to squeeze through. For some of you, this will be by the skin of your teeth. And it's funny that I think Lucifer put that in as a little bit of a joke to me, because I've been feeling in spaces where, you know, I take on a different persona and I can feel like fangs come down, or like a vampire. And I was obsessed with vampires when I was really young. I would read a lot of Anne Rice books from quite a young age. So I think that is, you know, built up a little bit of this fabric of my existence for sure. But I can feel into different parallel times where, you know, I've experienced vampires. I went into a really deep meditation not too long ago where I saw like a vampiric creature in a cave, and I thought, oh gosh, like I was there, like that happened. I felt like I was a masculine energy in that cave. And you know, I thought these things are real. These things that, you know, we see in the movies, we see in TV shows, like they are real and they come from somewhere. And interestingly enough, in my other space when I do my card readings, I've been saying that, you know, some of you are living in this upside down, and this is this fabric of existence that Lucifer is talking about. There is a darker energy that is guiding a lot of other people at this time, and a lot of those that are in higher power. And this aligns with the cosmic energy too. And it wasn't until this week that I've finally been able to make all of this come to one pinnacle point of making sense to me. So at the end of this podcast, for the longest time, Alister Crowley was working with one of his guardian angels. And, you know, this was a person that he would go to asking for more information. And, you know, he really didn't get that much from them. I know a lot of his like magical teachings, there are different books that I haven't read of his that I think are of great worth. You know, I think that there is a lot to do with manifestation within his work. There is a lot to do with, you know, thinking highly of oneself and seeing our own selves as gods. And I think this is where, you know, religion and magic kind of come into disalignment, where we're going to have to meet in the middle, and we're going to have to, you know, kind of join forces and join hands in that, and believing that we are our own gods. And, you know, I know a lot of people out there believe that there is only one God, but I think we're having to shift our perspective to see that we are all gods within ourselves. We are all our own Jesuses, you know. And that is okay. We are allowed to be of power and to be standing in our power. And this is what the galactic teams push, that we are our own, keepers and counsel. And this is what I try and push within my spaces, is light, and, to not be sacrificing anything to anyone else. No point in my journeys have I been asked to sacrifice anything other than, my time, my dedication to my practices in terms of meditation, and in terms of looking after myself. That is all that my teams of light asked me to do, is to make sure that I'm healthy, make sure that I'm happy, and to be sending out love and light. So for those that, practice in darker arts, if you're being asked to sacrifice anything, it's because a being sees you as lesser than themselves. And that's something that, Lucifer really wanted me to bring forward. And he has a lot to say about where we find ourselves right now, and it's completely taken me by surprise, because he comes forward in a lot of light. And I think I had a very warped perspective of who and what I thought Lucifer to be. And the more research that I do, the more that I spend time with him, speaking with him, I realize that he comes for a very different cause than what I thought. And I actually wrote a manifesto. So this is something that I channeled from Lucifer as his manifesto, and this is around the time that I made the first darkness video. And this is, I think, him wanting to put into notion exactly who he is and why he is here, so that there is no confusion anymore. And this manifesto states, I'm here for the light, to fight those of darkness. I bring souls back to the path of light. I hold light within. I create the pathway of destruction for those that have chosen to experience it. I am pure light, stood in shadow. My father is chaos, I am not. And he's talking about Satan. My father is chaos, I am not. I do not let anyone come close to those that have not asked to be experienced the dark. I am the gatekeeper. I am no friend. I am love. I am the void in equal measure. And there is so much there. This idea of that Lucifer only lets people, experience darkness if they have asked for it. And he really tries to fight those of true darkness from corrupting people that haven't asked to experience the light. And I think this is where the Galactus, and this is where this dark energy comes into play. And, Lucifer confirms that he has joined forces with galactic teams. The Angelic Kingdom and the Galactic Kingdom have joined forces right now. And they are in these timeline wars. And, none of this was making sense to me up until this past week. And I thought, fantastic. And then, this podcast had a real change of course for me by the end of it. So Alister Crowley was talking about his guardian angel, coming back and forth with them, asking them, more information as time went on. And I very much felt like he was just going around the houses with a lot of his work, and he didn't get major results. He wasn't someone that was particularly successful in his ventures, I want to say. And it's completely, I'm in shock. I'm still in shock. I'm not going to lie, everyone, because I just think there are so many people that are following his teachings that, are pushing this agenda with a very flawed knowledge from the get-go, where all of his information was coming from. But I digress. So the very end of this podcast, they talk about, the end of Alister Crowley's life, and another divine synchronicity that has completely blown my mind. But Alister Crowley died in Hastings, and I actually spent a year in Hastings, and it was one of the most chaotic experiences I've ever had in my life. It was my first year at university, and I turned up at this space, and I thought, what is going on here? Why am I here? And there was a lot of, people struggling in that area, and it is a really beautiful town, but it definitely had a sub-energy of just such darkness, such decay. And I saw it, there were people out on the streets really struggling, and I just thought, this place, there's some sort of energy that isn't okay here. And I actually moved, after that first year, I moved into the centre of Brighton because I just couldn't stand being there any longer. And Alister Crowley died in Hastings, and when I read this, I was completely floored, and I thought, this makes the most amount of sense why Hastings feels just very, very, very strange. And apparently, to be 100% confirmed, I'm not entirely sure where we can confirm this, but apparently there is a drawing that Alister Crowley did of his guardian angel on his deathbed. And this drawing is said to, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm sharing this. This drawing is said to resemble a grey alien, everyone. So I thought, this is the piece of the puzzle that I've been missing. I was like, why am I looking into all of these dark arts? What does all of this mean? How is this aligning with anything that I've been doing, previously in all of this work? And Alister Crowley was connecting with what he called to be his guardian angel, and this looking very much like a grey alien. So for what we know, not about all grey alien races, but some of them are highly manipulative. They have been part of this dark agenda. They have joined forces with the reptilian order, and this is something that Shauna Earl Francis has channeled for us and confirmed to us. So thank you, and shout out again to you, Shauna. Thank you. And I just thought, this is it. This is the piece of the puzzle that I've been missing. All of this dark order has been planned for such a long time, and those higher ups have been involved in this for such a long time, and there are those that are used along the way for this dark agenda. And I believe that Alister Crowley to be one of those people. He was really strung along in his pursuits for greatness and his pursuits for to understand magic. And I thought, a being came in and took you on a ride, and a ride that wasn't particularly pleasurable for you, although that can be debated in many different ways. But he didn't have the best life, and I just thought, this darker energy has been at play for a real long time, and we are coming to a point now where we are having to fight this throughout everything, because those other timelines are collapsing, and we're wanting to step into the light. So right now, I'm pivoting from Alister Crowley into the teachings of Scientology. And this is where, the information from Britt comes in. This is where the information from Jeffrey Epstein comes in. I did a whole channel channeling Jeffrey Epstein and, his ideas of wanting to make amends for the things that he's done, and also to give us information on the truth of what has actually been happening on our planet with regards to galactics and the reptilian order. And if you want to venture into that series, please do. And apologies for the triggers that are in this video, but I think we are just having to get to the nitty-gritty of everything, everyone, and for this to just start to make sense to us. So I've pivoted to Scientology because the head of Scientology is actually very much connected to Alister Crowley's teachings, and Scientology is an extension of Alister Crowley's teachings. And I thought, a really long time ago I heard about Scientology, and I heard about it being expressed with the idea of aliens, and I thought, I can get on board with that. I have believed in aliens from the whole entirety of my life, but I wasn't very much stood 2 feet in the ground, with that notion, and it being something that was at the forefront of our mind. So I'm now pivoting to Scientology, and I think this is where Hollywood comes in. This is where those higher ups, all of those celebrities come in terms of, pushing this agenda. And I think there is a lot of warping that is happening right now, and I think this is also where the reptilian order comes into play. And Lucifer confirms, a lot of things that are happening in this world are being blamed on him, on his energy, on this darkness that is actually coming from the reptilian order. So the next step in this journey, I think for me, is looking into Scientology and seeing where I can put all of these pieces into play, because we do have the darker energies that are ruling, we do have the reptilian order that's connected to that, and we do have the greys connected into all of this, everyone. And it has blown my mind a little bit just how everything is starting to come together, starting to make sense. And I feel a lot lighter this week. I feel very much back into my own energy, into my own capacities, and lo and behold, life feels easier. And I thought, for the longest time in my life, I was harboring a little bit of this energy, and I was having to break through, and I broke through. I was stood divinely in the light, and I was taken back these past couple of weeks to be harboring such a potent amount of this energy, now that I've geared up my own physical vessel to be willing and able to do that. And I thought, gosh, when you are under this spell, it feels so normal to just be depressed. It feels so normal to just be so sad, so confused, in lack. And if you can claw your way out, I typed claw in that message from Lucifer. If you can claw your way out of that darkness, you can find peace and you can find light. And I'm peddling both sides of the spectrum right now, and I'm very much going into more shadow work myself at a very different capacity this time, and integrating my shadow where all aspects of me are coming into this one physical manifestation of this new me. I was very much in the darkness, tipped to the light, and now I'm looking back into those bits of darkness that I want to be me, that are me, that I can't get away from, my shadow, and how to manage that and to make that be okay and accept myself exactly as I am, for everything that I am, and to be proud of who I am. And I think some of you are there too. And we're coming into eclipse season, we're coming into shadow work season. So, if you're feeling the call to be working with me, with any of the light renegades, please do reach out, because now is that time to get to those depths. And I've realized this is what I've been gearing up for, is to be able to hold you in space in that, everyone. And, I've been asked to keep my October as free as possible. And I realize it's so I can help you. I'm going to be in spaces, with my teams of light, battling this deeper, darker, the upside down that we are parallel to, but also to help you that are experiencing that too, because somewhere this is filtering out into our energetic body. So those of us that are already on the ascension process, those of us that are already real sensitive to these energies, you are feeling it. And some of you are already reaching out, and speaking to us with that, and how we can help you in that. So if you do feel that calling, please do reach out, and we can help you in that. But I just wanted to share where I find myself, where I've come to in this, grand, I don't even know what to call it, research project that I find myself in. And, I am enjoying it, and it has been a wild ride. I'm just glad for this darker energy to be out of my physical vessel. I feel so much lighter. I'm sure that you can all see, even from last week. Yeah, I just feel a lot more me. I'm very grateful in that. And it's just a reminder to me, that when everyone is under this layer of darkness, it's real dense, it's real horrid, it's real heavy, and I never want anyone to be feeling that, and this is why we exist. This is why we've created the Light Renegades, because we want to help those that are struggling. We want to help those that are feeling these energies and don't know where to go, and are not having your stories validated. My story wasn't being validated for the longest time, and I thought I have to start validating myself. And we've created this space to be validating you, and to say, no matter what is going on in your reality, we can help you. We can help you make sense of it, and and put things into spaces where you might see where you need to be helping yourself a little bit more, but also where your teams of light, your galactic teams are, taking the wheel too. And that's very much something that I've been asking for this week. I said to myself, I cannot harbor all of this energy within me, my own self. Teams of light, come and help me. I'm ready to let this darkness go. And, lo and behold, it was lifted from me. Slowly but surely, it was lifted. And that was a lesson for me too, to not take on all of this work myself. We are all a team here. All of you that tune in, we all know each other from different spaces, different places, lived different lifetimes. I'm truly, that is what I believe in my heart to be true. And so many divine synchronicities are just happening across the board. So if you are feeling those dense energies, reach out. If you're feeling in the highest love and light, send that out to those places and spaces and those people that might be struggling at this time. And we are always here for you. There will be more meditations released, to be helping you, I guess, feel a little bit stronger at this time, is what I want to share, everyone. Just make sure that you are cleansing your spaces, cleansing your home, sending out love and light to those that you love, but also to yourself. I've been having to sit with, radical compassion for myself, going into more shadow work again for myself. This is a never ending process. The more that we expand, the more that we have to turn back and, unlock all of those darker aspects that we don't want to look at. And then the more that we can expand again, and then we have to turn back. That's why we are cyclical beings. That's why we follow, the cycles of the seasons, and specifically the moon cycles. So for those that aren't doing that at this time, please look into that. Please look a little bit into astrology. Please look into a little bit of the the moon cycles. And I do a lot of this over on my Instagram, and also my other card channel, which is Elemental Origins. So if you're wanting to pivot a little bit into more of the elemental side of things, more of the, I guess, loose comments, witchcraft, spell casting side of things, and I like to say alchemy. I'm going to choose the words alchemy for all of that, because we should be using things of the earth, of the divine light, to be creating our own reality. This is what we are here for. We're here to fight this darkness, to be shining our light, and to be living the life that we want to live. And I'm having to go back to the drawing board and thinking, what do I want to experience this lifetime? What is it exactly that I want to experience? All of this journey, I feel like, happened to me. Of course, I pre-said and it pre-arranged for all of this to happen. But I just thought, yeah, what is it that I want to be living? What is it I want to be experiencing moving forward? And, letting my teams of light guide me in that, but in a lot more of a stable energy. Now that I've worked through a lot of my own darkness, a lot of my own shadow, I feel like I can step one foot in front of the other and fly and come back and, keep plodding, keep flying, come back. And that's the space that we all should be, trying to be in at this time, everyone. But I think there was a lot in here today. Apologies, I do have a little bit of the sniffles. I'm working through, you know, some still ascension processes over here on my own physical vessel as well. So if you are feeling that, please do reach out as well. I'm a Reiki master and I can help you, you know, release a little bit of that energy from you. And, you know, I take on so much energy, which is why, you know, I find myself in a place of struggling so that I can hold you in space of that, everyone. So I just want to reiterate, you know, as much as I'm over here saying, you know, I'm struggling, this is happening, that is happening, I can still hold space for you, and that is why I'm here. I'm starting to, you know, really take that ownership of that and realize, you know, I'm here to be helping those. I'm helping others go through the same processes that I've already gone through so that you can live a lighter life, so that you can live a life of more ease, of more peace, and, you know, to make this wild ride make a little bit more sense to you, everyone. But I think that's enough from me today, and yeah, I will be back very, very soon. Take care, everyone.